Everybody travels, but I'm different. I'm Josh Ogilvy and I travel with Getaway. To me, Getaway is about getting lost and finding myself.
This week, Josh takes us to Brisbane, Australia's capital city, where he gets up close and personal with all manner of wildlife and hunts down some of the country's most spectacular scenery.
Here's what we've got for you.
Making some springy friends, hugging it out with some cuddly pals, getting to know the locals, feeding wild dolphins, getting up and away, Brisbane river kayaking, sampling the best beef you'll ever eat.
And much more. So what are you waiting for?
Getaway with Getaway to Brisbane, Australia. Located in the southeast of Queensland, Brisbane is a coastal city and the third largest city in Australia. The city's name, Brisbane, comes from the river on which it sits, and the Story Bridge is the city's icon. With various art galleries, museums and theatres, Brisbane is an ideal place for travellers. Follow Josh to experience all this and more. You will see authentic Aboriginal culture and abundant art galleries in arguably one of the cleanest places on earth. Getaway with Getaway to Brisbane, Australia. Once a whaling station in the 1950s and a syndicate of Gold Coast businessmen, it is now a peaceful tourist attraction where you can feel the harmony between man and nature. The boat trip from Brisbane to Tangalooma is around 70 minutes. On the beach you can also take a helicopter ride which costs around 85 Australian dollars per hour.
So Trevor is the director of the Tangalooma Island Resort. Now, to me, that sounds like a bit of a dream job. Tell us, what do you do here all day?
It is a really big dream job, and sometimes we get animal rescues,
Yep, okay.
Sometimes we have upset guests,
Yep.
Sometimes we have really, really happy guests that want to just come and say, hey, we had such a great time here.
I'm sure you get more of those than the former, yeah.
Absolutely. There's just so much to do here. I mean, you know, we create our own power.
Yeah.
There are no mainland services here, so there's basically sort of, you know, water mains, we make our own water, we treat our own sewage. One of my favourite things is working with animals. We have whales, dolphins, and getting in the water with a humpback whale that's like, you know, massive. It's like, you know, 17, 18 metres long and weighs 50 tonnes. Rescuing them, getting them over to the vets at Australia Zoo, getting them back, seeing them be released, working with it and getting it out into the water, that's when you know that you're only like that big on the planet.
Yeah.
Running along the beach with the breeze in your hair and playing in the fresh seawater is a perfect way to get a feel for the island. Yet it's impossible to run all the way along the coastline, so take a safari bus to get deeper into the unknown territory of Tangalooma. Driving through the jungle, you'll encounter a large area of desert.
You know, Moreton Island is actually the third largest all-sand island in the world, and that means you've got plenty of this stuff here. And here we are in what's called Moreton Island's desert. Now, technically it's not a real desert, but it is this fantastic big sandy space. And if we look just over to the right here, we see this big sand dune. Now, because of the winds, that is actually moving in this direction very, very slowly at about 1 metre a year. But it's like a giant sort of sand wave coming towards it. And of course, like all the great waves in the ocean, you can also surf this one.
The sand hill is about 50 metres high, and the soft sand provides a pleasant massage while you walk along barefoot. After the sand, there is the water. The restored shipwreck is a must-see. The shipwreck was originally put here by the Queensland government as a harbour for fishing boats. Since then, it has become a resting place for local birds and fish. Accompanied by different kinds of birds, you can have a relaxing afternoon.
So as we've seen, there are so many fantastic activities that we can do here at Tangalooma. Now, the one we're on at the moment is basically a fish feeding cruise. So we've headed out to sea here. We're sailing in the direction of these fantastic wrecks where I'm told there are all manner of marine life that we can see. We might come across some dolphins, some sea turtles, there's dugongs, maybe a mermaid, I'm not sure. Particularly over these wrecks that we can just see behind me. So what I'm going to do is stop talking to you and start looking for animals.
On the boat, you can treat the fish to lunch. Nightfall is the best time to be here.
This is an exciting time. We've been waiting all day and the sun's finally set. The dolphins have finally come in for their daily feed.
Here at Tangalooma, we're lucky enough in that we have up to 10 wild dolphins that visit us on a regular basis. The beauty of this program is that these dolphins are wild dolphins, so they do come in here of their own free choice.
Right. The dolphins come in here like clockwork every night. Why is it that they come in here and how long have they been coming here for?
Because 30 years ago, lights were installed on the jetty, and by those lights being installed just after sunset, the lights on the jetty attract bait fish, which in turn attract larger fish. The one just jumping out the back there. So underneath the jetty is one of their main food sources. So the dolphin that we have coming into us right now, this is Echo. He's a male dolphin. He's 21 years of age.
21 years.
But yeah, poor Echo, he had a bit of a hard start in life. And can you see that scar on his left-hand side? That's actually from a shark injury that happened back in 1996. So we're not too sure what happened to his mother, but more than likely she would have interacted with some of the older female dolphins, and he's quite a healthy dolphin.
So he's turned out all right.
Absolutely, and he's quite dominant for his age. The dolphins, as you can see down the line, they all go to their correct lanes, and we actually encourage that behaviour because some of these dolphins are quite dominant dolphins. They'll try and push the younger dolphins out of their lanes to get their food, and if we allowed that to happen, the younger dolphins would just swim away and wouldn't come back.
So I think he's eyeing off this little fish that I've got here. Am I allowed to give it to him?
Absolutely.
So now there's a special way we need to feed the fish, isn't there? Feed the fish to the dolphins?
Yeah, definitely. So when we do hold the fish, we just hold the fish by the tail, just like an ice cream cone. And then we place the fish down nice and gently under the water.
And nice and easy, nice and deep for them to get it?
Yep.
Here we go. There you go, Echo. Oh, fantastic. And there you go. And now, of course, we're allowed to feed the dolphins, but we're not allowed to touch them. Is that right?
Not allowed to touch them, no. And it's actually illegal in Queensland waters to touch a wild dolphins. Plus, we don't know what their immune systems are like. You know, we could pass diseases onto them. We do have to be extremely hygienic, even when we touch their food and even when we feed it. And we don't think the dolphins would like to be touched anyway.
This must be a dream job for you.
Absolutely. To be in the water every night with wild dolphins, it doesn't get much better than that.
Make sure you take off your rings, jewellery or any hard objects and sanitize your hands before touching their food. Enjoy your intimate late-night date with these fascinating creatures. The last ferry back to Brisbane is at 7:45 p.m. Coming up next, Josh takes us up and away in his hot air balloon across the city and digs his teeth into some of the best beef in the world. Getaway with Getaway to Brisbane, Australia. Stay one night in Brisbane, then the next morning drive an hour to Hidden Vale. It is a peaceful countryside spot where you can kick back with farm life.
For about 37 years I've been a pilot. I started back in the 1970s. For safety, we have a briefing for the passengers. The baskets are padded and they have handles for holding onto for when we land. And we have to make checks on the balloon regularly. When I started with a club, with a private balloon club, and I thought this was a very interesting thing to do, a different sort of aviation. So I joined the club and went on from there, and I've never stopped.
Now, hot air ballooning is not for the faint-hearted. You can't be scared of heights, that's one thing. But if you're very, very happy at heights, and most people in Shanghai are because they live in tall buildings, then you're going to absolutely love this. This ride that we're on is taking us about half an hour. Basically, we're just drifting across the valley wherever the wind takes us. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about a hot air balloon ride. You don't know where you're going to take off from, and you most certainly don't know where you're going to land. But isn't this just a beautiful way to start the day? You've got to get up early for it because you need to beat the sunrise. We've been up since 2:30, but it is absolutely worth it. Now, Spice's Hidden Vale is on about 12,000 acres, and let me tell you, that's a pretty big property. Just to put it in perspective, it's almost as big as, I'd say, Shanghai, but instead of having 20 million people, we've got about 7 here. Oh, and about 800 cows as well. And do what we're going to do now, which is meet the beef. Is that right, Brett?
That's right.
Fantastic. So Brett's one of the guides here on the property, and he's going to take us for a bit of a tour now.
The 4WD Meet the Beef program costs $45.
This area was settled in the early 1800s, 1850s. Queensland became a state and the government split up a lot of the land for settlement to encourage farming, and people came out, and this was quite a large holding. At the time it was 8,000 acres, and it's pretty well been a cattle property all the way through.
Australia has its natural pastures which are beneficial for cattle growth. After 100 years of development and improvement, the quality, safety and taste of its beef have enjoyed a solid reputation across the world. Meet the beef, and why not try some? At the Luxury Regatta Hotel, you can enjoy some of the best beef in the world.
I must confess to absolutely loving my job, and one of the main reasons that's the case is because I get to eat fantastic foods wherever I go, and I am so excited about trying this particular beef. Now, what I have in front of me is the 1824 400-gram rump steak. The cattle are raised on natural grasses, and it's said to produce a meat of exceptional tenderness and flavour. Now, that's what they tell me, so let's put it to the test and see how good it is. Oh, and it's just sensational. Absolutely cooked to perfection. These guys know what they're doing. The quality of the meat is second to none, and I'd have to say it would be one of the best meals you could get here in Brisbane.
After lunch, hop onto the city ferry where you can cruise up and down the Brisbane River and enjoy the city's sights.
Welcome aboard.
G'day Mike, do you mind if I join you in here for a moment?
Come on in.
Not the best day for it, unfortunately.
No.
At least if we fall in, we're not going to get any wetter.
Brisbane River winds across the city, dividing it into north and south. In fact, ferries play an important role in the public transportation of Brisbane. There are 23 parts on the Brisbane River, and locals will even take ferries to work or school.
How long have you been on the river for?
I've been on the river since about 1980.
1980, so we're looking at 30 years, 3 decades of cruising up and down this river.
The normal cruise that we do, twice a day, we go down to the mouth of Breakfast Creek. Takes us about 3/4 of an hour in each direction.
Yep.
And we go down particularly to Newstead Park and Newstead House. That's the oldest surviving residence in the city. The year that the Expo was conducted here up at South Bank, 1988, it was certainly exciting enough for us. We had lots and lots of passengers, that's for sure.
Fantastic.
So it's really a part of Brisbane's history.
Yep. The people of Queensland are a fantastically active bunch. I mean, they just love the great outdoors. Look around me here. And one of the best places to really get your adventure on is here at River Life.
Brisbane River Life Adventure Centre is located near Kangaroo Point. Here you can enjoy various outdoor activities such as biking, jogging and rock climbing. Prefer to be in or on the water? Go for a paddle on the Brisbane River with a kayak.
Life jackets on, so now it's time to hit the water. One of the main features of Brisbane is the fantastic river that runs or snakes its way right through it. And it's just great to be able to get right down at water level here. You've got the city right behind you. You've got, people running along the boardwalk beside you. And look, it really is just, it's a fantastic way to get out and adventure and see what this great city has to offer. So the standard kayak tour takes about an hour and a half and it takes you all the way down to the river. I was thinking to myself on the way down, it's a very nice relaxing afternoon, but of course coming back you're against the current and that's slightly harder work. Even though the water's a little murky and not really the sort of thing I'd like to fall into, but still it's a great workout and it's great fun and they'll drag you out quickly.
Kayaking will cost you $39 for 1.5 hours.
Right here on South Bank and opposite the casino are these Brisbane city markets. They're otherwise known as Brisbane's Farm.
You can talk of your whiskey and talk of your beer. There's something much nicer that's waiting us here. It sits on the fire beneath the gum tree. There's nothing much nicer than a billy of tea.
Don't mind the crowds here. This really is still the perfect place to come and try Brisbane's fantastic cuisine. They call it Brisbane Farm for a reason, and that's because wonderful produce is trucked in from all around this region right here for you. It's in the CBD, it's outdoors, and you are absolutely spoiled for choice. So bring an appetite and bring some time, because you're in for a treat. Hi, how are you today?
Thanks, how are you going?
Very well, thank you. Well, we've got a bit of choice here. Dill, Italian, blended herb, hot chili. Which one's your favourite?
I actually like the chili.
The chili?
Yeah.
Fantastic. I'll have one of those, please. Sure. That little one there.
On there?
Wonderful.
30 thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, this salmon is flown in from New Zealand, fresh every second day. And the unique thing about it is they actually smoke it right here behind me, right here on site. Now, I'm just desperate to try some of this. It is called hot chili. That's the one we ordered. So I'm expecting a bit of a flavour hit here. Oh. That doesn't disappoint. It is absolutely amazing. How are you doing today? What's your most popular hot dog?
We have the Berliner Bratwurst.
Yep.
It's a regular one. And
Sure, let's try that one. Thank you. $50?
Yes.
Okay, delicious. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Now, of course, no hot dog is complete without a little bit of sauce. Just a little bit of the German mustard on top as well. And we're in heaven.
Coming up next, Josh makes some new furry friends and gets his hug for the day. Getaway with Getaway to Brisbane, Australia. Getaway with Getaway to Brisbane, Australia. In Brisbane, the Miramar boat cruise departs from the Cultural Centre pontoon at 10 a.m. daily. The cruise takes approximately 1 hour and 15 minutes and arrives at Lone Pine Koala Sanctuary, the world's first and largest koala sanctuary.
Real cream, real cream, real cream, real cream, a little dab will do ya. Real cream, your looks a debonair. Real cream, the gals will pursue ya. Simply rub a little in your hair.
With over 100 koalas, it is listed as one of the top 10 zoos in the world. The entrance fee costs $33.
This is Teresa, one of our beautiful girl koalas.
She's 9 years old.
And I'm Jill, one of the koala keepers here at Lone Pine.
So this is pretty exciting because even though I've lived in Australia for my whole life, I've never actually got this close to touching a gorgeous koala bear. Now this place is pretty special, is that it's one of the only places, or the only place in Australia where you can actually hold the koala?
I'm not the only place
rest of Australia, but I think only the ones within Queensland can actually hold.
And it's also the biggest koala sanctuary in Australia?
That's right, world's largest and world's first.
Now, why is it that the koalas spend so much of their day sleeping?
That's a really good question, because most people think it's because they are drunk or inebriated from the sleep. It's actually because it's very low energy in the leaf. So they're conserving their energy, the little energy they have, by sleeping and resting throughout the day. Probably my favourite thing about working with animals is the bonds that you form, particularly if you have someone that are in training or that you are using in a certain way like that, just developing that trust with them, getting to know them and their personality. All of these guys are very individual and they look very cuddly and fluffy, but they can do up to 300 poos a day.
No.
So lots of cleaning and getting their eucalyptus toys all ready for them to eat. So having that bond and that trust with the animal, I think, is what the favourite part of the day.
Well, there it is, guys. If you are in Brisbane, you absolutely must come out to the Lone Pine Koala Sanctuary and get up close and personal with these gorgeous, cuddly little creatures, and of course all of the other fantastic native Australian animals that are here on show as well.
He's just going to sit on top of your hand.
Cuddle a koala any time of the day until 4:30 p.m. and have your photo taken. Photo tickets can be purchased from the general store.
I think he just smells like eucalyptus, which is what they eat all day, so that's kind of his overriding scent. Apart from getting up close and personal with the koalas, one of the other really cool things you can do here at the sanctuary is feed the kangaroos. So I've actually made a few friends here. They're all very keen on the food that I've got on offer. Now, this little one that's right in front of me, for example, that we're just feeding at the moment, he's probably only just left his mum, so he's what we call a little Joey, and he's got some friends as well. He's going to grow up to be about 5 times the size and a really big, powerful kangaroo. They're capable of jumping meters into the air, and I mean, they're just an amazingly athletic creature. But at the moment, he is just absolutely adorable. Hello, mate. This is really one of the lovely things about coming and visiting this sanctuary. I mean, not only can you get up close and personal with the koalas, but you really can with all the animals. And, you know, whether you're Australian like me or whether you're visiting from overseas, this really is a special experience.
Machine. Yeah, look at that. Keep it there. Okay. Now we'll just let these sheep go. Oh, there we go, it's all over. Done.
So we've got two of the stars of the sheep herding show here. We've got Jeff and this fantastic sheepdog, Don.
Oh, Don's 3 years old and his father is Dusty.
Yeah.
And Dusty's the Australian champion sheepdog. Yeah, well, these dogs are